Hello, welcome to the Sweet Talk. Today is Monday, April 2nd. My name is Kim Matina. I am a Google certified trainer and the top contributor in the G Suite for Education Help Forum. I am here today with Jake Miller. Very happy to have him on the show. Hi, Jake.
Hi there. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for including me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Jake is the master of GIFs. So he is a technology integration coach and he's from Pepper Pike, Ohio. And the school that you teach at is Ballard Brady Middle School.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Jake?
Yes. So I work at Ballard Brady Middle School, which is in the Orange City School District. We're in a suburb, east side suburb of Cleveland. I actually live in Kent, Ohio, right down the street from Kent State University. But I work at Brady as a tech coach, just with our middle school teachers to help them integrate technology in ways that benefit student learning. I get to work with the students. I get to work with the teachers. It's really kind of why I like the role, that sometimes I'm one-on-one with students helping them do a project they want to do. Sometimes I'm one-on-one with teachers helping them plan a lesson. Other times I'm co-teaching with the teachers to use technology more effectively. And that's my work life, which is an absolute blast. At home here in Kent, I have 3 kiddos, which keep me busy. And then in my free time, normally once the kiddos go to bed and my wife and I finish the lunch packing and house cleaning and everything, that's when I turn on my Twitter life, I guess we should say, and start working on things for my website and these GIFs that you're referring to, and participating in Twitter and learning from others and sharing with others on Twitter. That's a passion of mine, that PLN that Twitter offers up.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's how I found you on Twitter. I started to admire your GIFs that you made, and I just am like blown away with everything that you've done with the GIFs. So I really think that that resource is valuable, and I know I've been using them. So thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. So the gifts all started about a little over a year ago. It was last January, and I kind of set, it was almost like a New Year's resolution. I said, I've got my website, I've got jakemiller.net, which I really got for the purpose of initially of finding the job that I have now. And then so my focus became, okay, I've got the job, but I still have this hunger to share with people outside of my classroom, outside my school, and affect more students, support more teachers in benefiting those students. And so I said, I'm going to start using this website more actively, and I'm going to make screencasts of the things that I'm passionate about doing in education. So I was doing lots of things about spreadsheets, which I think are underutilized in the classroom, Google Drawing, which I think are underutilized in the classroom, and then ways to use Google Slides and Google Docs that people aren't tending to do, that are outside of the normal uses of them. And I'd make those videos with Camtasia, and I'd post them on YouTube and put them on my website, and I'd tweet them out. And I'd come back a week later to look at them, to check on them, and I'd see that I had 5, 6, 7 views. Which was frustrating because I was putting at least an hour into each one, and I was very proud of what I was creating, and I felt like I had something to share. And I knew those 5 or 6 views, 2 of them were me checking to make sure they worked, and 1 was my mom seeing what I was up to. And I said, this is not working. I've got this stuff that I feel like is good, and I've got to get it out there. And I kind of had an epiphany one day watching. I was sitting in the doctor's office waiting for my appointment, and I'm thumbing through Facebook on my phone, and I end up spending a minute or so learning how to make tater tot casserole from this video, and I have no interest in learning how to make tater tot casserole. My wife makes it. It's delicious. I don't need to know how to make it. But it was one of those videos that just automatically plays. And you see, like, you get to it on the screen and it starts playing, and you're like, oh, I guess I'll watch this. And you just start watching. And I said, I need to do this with my content. And that's where it all started for me. And I think it applies in the classroom too. Sometimes you put your content out there for students. Maybe you're posting on Google Classroom, and maybe they're not inclined to click on it. But if it just automatically plays, then you've already grabbed your audience. Now you've just got to create good enough content to hold on to them. Whereas before the hand, you're forced to wait for them to click play, and so I'm trying to avoid that. And so that's why I started making GIFs.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and that's a good point too, because if it automatically plays, the students have no choice; they have to watch it.
Right.
It's
Well,
right there in front of
and
them.
I've found that it kind of also works really well with what we know about a student or a human in general's attention span. You know, if I try to create a 15-minute tutorial on how to do something in Google Forms, it's unlikely that I'm going to get many people to watch for 15 whole minutes. I found this when I was a STEM teacher in a middle school I used to work at. I would create instructions for students in YouTube videos, and they wouldn't watch the whole thing. Which was always ironic to me because they'll sit through a 40-minute direct instruction lecture without complaining, but I couldn't get them to watch a whole video. But we know that about a student's attention span, and it's true of adults too.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Right. So a GIF forces me into a box. You know, I've got 40 seconds or 35 seconds or whatever it might be to make that happen. So that's what's nice about GIFs for me.
So when you make a GIF, your GIFs are no longer than 40 seconds, or is it a minute? Like, what's the limit on GIFs?
Well, so I normally aim for about 35 seconds, just kind of a rule of thumb for myself. Sometimes I go over, sometimes I hope to get under that, but I don't want the content moving too fast, you know. I don't think you can go much over a minute. I think if you go over a minute, you might as well have created a video. And a GIF doesn't have audio. So if you're making something where you need to go on for more than a minute, I think you probably also need audio to go with that. And the GIF doesn't have audio. You know, a GIF is just looping an image essentially. So my goal is normally about 30 to 35 seconds. Early on, I was doing 20, and I found that was sometimes too quick.
Too quick, yeah.
Right. So what I do, my strategy is I use Camtasia, and Camtasia is a paid product. So unfortunately, that eliminates as an option for some teachers. It's about $160 for teachers, maybe $169, I think. It's over $200 for the general public, but it's around $160 for a teacher. Google Apps for Education trainers, however, get it for free. So that's why I use it, because I had it for free, and it became my screencasting tool, and I discovered that it did GIFs. That's why I started using it. And so what I do is I record the whole video, let's call it, and I aim to keep it under like 2 minutes. And then I go into it because I'm using Camtasia, and I splice out the unessential parts, and I speed up the part. I speed up the entire thing. Typically, a typical recording of mine is going to be 55 seconds or so, and I speed it up until it's 35 seconds. And as long as you can still follow it, it works.
Okay. So just to note that Camtasia is only available on MacBooks and Windows computers, not for
Correct.
Chromebooks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the big snag there is that it's not available on Chromebooks, and so even though I'm a huge proponent of Chromebooks, I can't go use Camtasia on it. I lose that functionality. So I did a post on my blog about some other alternative options. I'll jump to that, and maybe I could just share my screen over if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me click to it here, and then I'm going to click to share my screen. Okay, you see that coming up now there?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a post on jakemiller.net, which I actually need to update because I've heard of some other tools. It runs through why I choose to use Camtasia. It's got a lot of things that other solutions don't have. You know, the ability to speed up the clips. You can't do in many other programs. Cursor effects, like having my cursor be highlighted. Some programs have that, others don't. The ability to edit out unnecessary sections. Most things that you can get cost effectively, and especially on a Chromebook, don't have that. The ability to blur out, like if I have a student name, or to annotate things, to zoom around the screen to focus on areas, because you don't have my voice to say, look over here on the right. You know, I have to zoom into things. And then to modify the quality of output to get it ready. So these are kind of some of the wins of using Camtasia. One important note here that when you were talking about the length of the GIF that I make is that on Twitter, which is my main goal for my GIFs, is that an image has to be 5 megabytes or less. And so I aim for getting 4.9. So I say the highest quality I can get, but under that 5. So I aim for 4.9. So that also keeps me from making too long of a GIF. If I make a 2-minute long GIF, I'm going to have to reduce the quality to an extremely low level to get it under that 5. So that's why I do that. But then some alternatives. Screencastify, everybody knows, is a great tool. Typically, we use the free version, but the paid version does allow you to make GIFs and does allow you to do it on Chromebooks. It won't have all the functionality of Camtasia, but it'll work in a pinch. And I have students use it for the free version for just screencasting. And I think it's great.
Yeah, I use the Screencastify, the free version, and it's very limiting. I mean, I can't trim the video, I
Right.
can't make GIFs. It's I mean, it's good if you want to do something very quick, but if you're looking to enhance it and trim it and highlight things like you were saying you do in Camtasia, you have to get the premium version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if GIFs is your goal, then Camtasia is the way to. I'm sorry, then Screencastify Premium is the way to go for that. And I believe their price is about $2 a month. So that's I
Yeah.
think that's pretty fair. If that's what you're hoping to do. If that
Yeah,
meets.
it's only $24 for the year, so it is reasonable. And if, like you said, if you're using GIFs a lot, it's a great alternative.
Yeah. Now some of the alternatives that are out there to that, like Gaiazo is a free one that I first heard from Casey Bell on the Google Teacher Tribe podcast. Gaiazo doesn't allow you to do like any editing or anything like that, and it's only like a 7-second GIF. So if you need to show something really quickly, Gaiazo is a great way to do it. But it's limited in what you could actually do for it. There's Giphy Capture on Macs is similar. It lets you capture a short GIF without any like trimming or highlighting or zooming or any panning or anything like that, but it's Mac only. Gifit allows you to pull GIFs out of YouTube videos. So that's one workaround I've used before, where I make the GIF or I make a video and then post it on YouTube and then pull it back out of the YouTube video with Gifit. That's one kind of workaround you could do there. Snagit is the same maker as Camtasia, TechSmith. Cheaper, less editing functionality, but it doesn't work on Chromebooks. And then there's Chrome Capture, which I've tried out before, but it really doesn't let you do much. It works on Chromebooks, but it doesn't let you do much. Two new ones that I've just recently heard about that I have to research are recordit.co, which I believe works on Chromebooks. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Mac and Windows as well, but that's free. So that's a new one I've got to add to that post. And then Screencast-O-Matic, which is kind of an oldie but a goodie for me. I used to use it a lot for creating screencasts. Now does do GIFs as well, but that does not work on Chromebooks. So really on Chromebooks, you're gonna have to go with Screencastify, and the premium version would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, they got to get on board with getting a GIF maker for Chromebooks that was comparable to Snagit or Camtasia.
You're right. Totally. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've used Gifit before. I just feel like it's I mean, it's a great workaround. I just think that it's a lot of work to do to get your GIF done when you can use a different tool, which makes it a lot quicker.
Right.
I think there's more work on the back end
Right.
For that. I'm not saying that you can't use it. You could use it. It's just, if you want to make a quick GIF, I don't think that's the right tool. Like you said, I think you have to get the premium version of Screencastify to really be able to get in there and get all of your options that you're looking for and trim. Because I feel like sometimes I'll make a great GIF and I want to trim it and I can't. And I got to start all over again.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of frustrating when you're in a pinch.
Yeah.
But that's a great information. And recordit.co, I'd have to check that one out. I don't know.
Right. Well, it looks like that's not a Chromebook one anyhow, but I've seen some people recommending it recently on Twitter with the best PLN around.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. And what about your StopMotionSlides? I was checking them out and I really like them.
Yeah, so StopMotionSlides is something I originally learned. I think was originally probably put out there by Matt Miller of Ditch That Textbook. You can find him at ditchthattextbook.com. And he posted about them years ago. And then I first heard about it from Eric Kurtz, who's a local guy for me. Eric's amazing. Audience members, if you don't follow Eric and Matt, those are two huge follows. But Eric is he knows everything that's going on with Google. And if there's a way to do something, he knows it. So I think I first heard of it through him.
Yeah, I agree. I heard of his stop motion through his blog, and then I was like, wow, this is cool. Like
Right.
I really liked the animation piece of using slides with the animation, which was pretty cool. But I haven't really, I had no need for it yet, you know,
Right.
so I'm not really familiar with how to create it, except reading your blog post and getting in on there. You know, you get a little background knowledge, but I haven't applied that to the classroom yet.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the way it happened for me too. I think I heard about it from Eric once, and then I heard about it from Matt Miller again later, but it never really stuck for me. I was kind of like, oh, that's a neat idea, but I didn't need it at that time. That's kind of my philosophy about educational technology. You once you have the goal or the problem or the learning standard or the need, then you identify the tool that you're going to utilize. And so I was years ago looking for a way to animate, and it's all of the options out there are either A, too expensive, or B, too limiting. Like you can go use something like Powtoon, which is a cool tool. It really is nice, but there's not a lot of features to it. Or you could
Right.
go use Go Animate, but it costs money,
It's a lot of money.
and it has some limitations too. So then I referred back to that idea that I'd heard about previously, which was StopMotionSlides, and it's in Google Slides, which we all already know, and it's free. So it's really easy to, and it's relatively easy to do. So it became the platform I prefer because you can do whatever you want with it. So how about I share an example for people
Yeah,
who've
go
never
for
seen
it.
it. So here I've got this link I popped in here, and when I hit enter, you'll see. Can you see it up on the screen now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good. I got this link I put in here, and when I hit enter, you'll see the stop motion happen, and you can see it's a link to a slideshow, and it says presentation, so it's going to show up in presentation mode. Now I'll show how it's doing that in a second, and you'll see over here at the tail end of the link. I jumped over to the end of it. You can see right here, there's this automatic delay. So every 100 milliseconds, that's what that's saying right there, it's going to switch slides automatically. And so this is actually a whole bunch of slides all together. So let me click on it here, and you'll see it load. Nope, started from the end. I should have started from the beginning. So you can see that this is done through Google Slides. These things are all individual slides that are advancing every 1 second, or 100 milliseconds. So each slide is an incremental change to show all these details here. So you can see down here at the bottom that it goes through slide 110, I think, 111. And all of this stuff happens incrementally on those slides. And people look at me when I do this stuff, and they think like, that's insane. That must have taken Jake forever to do that. And actually, if you learn some tricks and some tools, which I'll kind of share really quickly, it becomes rather easy actually to do this. And this probably took me maybe an hour, maybe close to 2 hours. But I don't think even that long, to go through this process and to create an animation like this. I don't think that's that bad. So let's look at the actual slides here. So this is the actual slideshow. You can see slide 1 is blank, and slide 2 is blank, and slide 3, there you can start to see my image fading in, and slide 4, it's a little bit brighter, a little bit brighter, a little bit brighter until I'm finally there. And then my head opens up, and then there's the slide that pops out. And so you just tweak it slide by slide by slide to make all this stuff happen. Okay, so on this particular slide 41, my image is gone. The title is there. Half of my Twitter handle is there, and this other slide is partway down to its location. If I go a slide forward, there's the L, and there's the rest of my name down a slide after that, and there's the T and the E, and so it just goes slide by slide by slide to all pop out of there.
So you just duplicate the slides.
Yeah, correct. So let's make a really quick one, just for example's sake. So if I go to this blank slideshow, and I normally just go with, instead of a slide with any text on it, I just go with a blank slide. So I just chose blank up here. And let's say I want to put in, you could use the shapes that are up here. You could obviously add in images. You can go over to the Explore tool, and let's say we add in, let's see if we can look up the Sweet Talk over here. I should see if your logo pops up. I'm getting pictures of sweets over here instead. Here, let's get a smiley face. We'll just go with that. So let's add this smiley face into the picture here. There it is. I'm going to remove this link that's attached to it here. and I've got this image here. So then once I have it, if I just duplicate this slide, which is right here, duplicate, then on the next slide, I could move it over here. And then when I go from one side to the next, it looks like it moves across the screen. So then I use a shortcut instead of clicking on duplicate every time, because again, this is a painstaking process. So I want to make it as quick as I can. So I'll click Command D on my Mac or Control D on other devices, and then it duplicates the slide. And then to make this smiley face move smoothly and look like an actual animation, instead of dragging it with my mouse and maybe ending up a little bit too low or a little bit too high or too far over, I use the arrow keys. So I'll go like click, click, click to move it over 3 spaces. And then I'll duplicate this slide and go click, click, click to move it over. And then duplicate the slide and go 1, 2, 3 to move it over. Okay.
Okay, so you use the arrow keys to be more precise.
Right, and it's really, for me, it's partially the precision and also the consistency of movement. Right, so if I go over 3, over 3, over 3, then it's a consistent movement across the screen. It doesn't look jerky.
Right.
You know, whereas if I'm dragging it, it's going to look jerky in times. And so if I wanted to move down and across the screen, I might go over 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, or something. If I'm trying to go diagonal, you know, to get it to the exact spot I want it to be in. Okay. And then there are some other tricks too. Like if I hold down the Shift key when I click the arrows, it's going to move a little bit in smaller increments. You can barely see it moving when I do that. So that actually moves 1 pixel at a time when you hold down the Shift key. Other things that I use with it is like if I want this image to fade out, like you saw my face fading in and fading out in my one I showed earlier. Once I have the image selected, I'll go to Format Options, and in here under Adjustments is Transparency. So if I click it once, it's now 10% transparent. And then if I duplicate the slide and I click it again, now it's 20% transparent. And if I duplicate the slide and do it again, now it's 30% transparent. And now if I go through those slides, you could see the face is starting to fade out. Okay. And then there's some other tools too, like maybe I want the face to rotate now. So if I hold down Command and click the right arrow, I'm sorry, it's not Command, Option and click the right arrow. I think it probably is Alt on other devices. Option and click the right arrow. Now it's going to rotate 15 degrees. And I could duplicate the slide, click it, and Option on the right arrow and rotate it 15 more degrees. And then duplicate it and click on it and rotate it 15 more degrees. And now if I go down, you could see a fluid movement as it goes around the page. Okay. So on that link that I put up earlier was, let's go back to the end of the slideshow here, was jakemiller.net/smsprez. And there's some resources there that you can go to see resources about how to do this. And one particular resource that is there is a link to my tips. Okay. And so on this site is currently 11 tips. I've actually got a few that I want to add on to here. But see, there's number 1 is duplicate slides. That's what we were just talking about. And there's a GIF that's loading up right now. There's the GIF of how to do that. Okay. And then number 2 is using the arrow keys to move. And there's a GIF of how to do that. And we were just talking about that. Number 3 is rotating, and which we were just doing. And there's a GIF of how to do that. Okay. Number 4 is resizing, which we didn't talk about, but there's a GIF and some instructions for how to make this taco smaller incrementally, so it kind of zooms out or zooms in, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Putting things behind and in front of each other. So if I want this Pac-Man head to look like it's eating that taco, I want to make sure the taco is behind that image. So there's a GIF of how to go about doing that. Image transparency, which we were just talking about. If I want the taco to fade in or fade out, here's a GIF of how to go about doing that, which you just saw me doing before there. Okay. Using the slide edges strategically. So if I want the taco to appear from off the screen, I bring it from off the screen. And when I'm in presentation view, it's going to, appear to come in from the side, because you can only see the white area in presentation view, as you see here. Okay. Some other keyboard shortcuts like this one. I don't tend to use this one much, but if you use the Tab key while you're in Google Slides, it'll actually jump you from item to item to item in the order they were added to the slide. So if you've got a bunch of items you're moving around, that's a way to do that. Or if you, another one is adding text, as you saw in the one that I showed earlier. I go slide by slide by slide, and it looks like the text is appearing from left to right, almost like it's being typed onto the screen. And you can see in that GIF, this really doesn't take that long. It's just duplicate, add a letter, duplicate, add a letter, duplicate, add a
Yeah.
letter. Repetitious and maybe tedious and might drive some people batty, but it ends up with a product that gives you more freedom than other platforms would give
And
you.
it's unique too.
Right, right, and gives the students total freedom of what they can create.
Have you used this with your students in the school?
Our school, we do passion projects in the winter, which actually just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Each kid in our school has 10 hours of dedicated time to work on a project of their choosing. You know, they work with a teacher to get it approved and everything, but otherwise it's their choice. And we had a couple students use StopMotionSlides for this for their passion project. We also have a website we use with our staff that. Well, more so with our students, but it's a website of ways students can show their understanding of a concept. So we have teachers that'll say go to this website and show your understanding of the water cycle or whatever, and they give them a rubric of what they need to prove, and then the students go in and select one of those methods, and so StopMotionSlides is one of those options they have there.
Okay, and then they would just show the water cycle through animation through Google Slides.
Right, which is it's such an awesome way to do it, right? Because they could actually show those, the drops of water, the clouds, and all those things like that, and they could actually have some freedom over, how to represent that.
Do they narrate their slides or no?
Well, so that's a choice, right? So let's talk about what to do once you're done. So once you're done with that presentation, let me take over the screen here again. So once I'm done with this one here with my smiley face, the easiest way to show this to people is to publish these slides, which is what was going on with the ones that I showed earlier. So I go to File and then Publish to the Web, and you can see the auto advance here. And actually every second is too slow. So for mine earlier, it was 110 slides long. So that would be 110-second long animation, which would have been too long. So that's the fastest option they have. So I'll show you how to change that, which I actually learned also from Eric Kurtz, I believe. So I'm going to say I want the slideshow to start as soon as the player loads, and I want it to loop. Okay. And then as soon as I've done that, I click Publish. And then right here is a link. Okay. And now the part that you want to change here is this delay at the end. 1,000 milliseconds, means 1 second. So I change this, and I only take up to the second zero there. So I'm not going to take that last zero. So I'm going to have it move every 100 milliseconds. If you go smaller than that, it's your computer's probably not going to keep up with the slide changes. So now here's my presentation that we were just making. Okay, so now if that's good enough, if audio isn't required, then we could just use just that and send this link or submit this link in Google Classroom or something like that. Alternatively, if we need to have the kids narrate it, then what we would do is have them use Screencastify now, or whatever your solution is. So now that this is happening, I can now click my Screencastify button up here. Is that Screencastify? I'm not sure what I've clicked on up there. Yeah, that's Screencastify. So now I click on Screencastify and record this page along with the microphone and maybe along with the webcam if you want to see the student doing it. So then actually you end up with the student narrating this animation they've created in slides.
I think that's a great idea. I really do. I mean, to hear you use it, or you have your students have them, like a Genius Hour passion project, have them choose that and then create the animation and then narrate it. I think that's a wonderful, engaging project that they will take ownership in because it's their own, you know. I mean, students, when they have to present to other people or a global audience, they want to perfect it more. If it's just for their class or their teacher, it's just okay. They want to, when it's a global audience or when it's going out there and it's being shown off to other different people or different schools, they want to perfect it, and they want to make sure it's their A game. So I think this gives them a fun, engaging way to show what they learned and take ownership in their learning.
Yeah, totally.
I definitely like the Screencastify option to have them narrate, their stop motion slides. I really like that. That just adds a nice little touch to it,
Yeah. Well, then a really cool third item to add into that app smash there is then, okay, so you do your stop motion slides in Google, and then you record in Screencastify. And then if you want the kids to share with each other, which if, why wouldn't you? You can then have them submitted on Flipgrid, because Flipgrid allows you to upload videos. So as soon as you take a recording in Screencastify, it saves into your drive. And then the kid, especially on a Chromebook, go into Flipgrid, click the upload button, and then click on that recording. And then all the other students are looking at each other's narrated stop motion slides. It's a cool way for them to review class concepts and, take pride in what they're actually creating.
Definitely.
Get away from that audience of one that you're talking about, where the teacher is the only member of the audience.
Yeah, definitely. I like that Flipgrid option too, So that definitely gives them a lot of choices on how they want to show off what they learned. Definitely. Oh, I really like that. Thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to share, because and if anybody watches and does this, or if you try this with students in your school, I'd love to see what the kids make. That's the best part. Is
You
seeing
know
what
what?
the
I
kids
might
create.
try this in my, because I'm a tech coach also, and I'm teaching computer science this year. So I really would like to try this stop motion slides using computer science and
Mm-hmm.
see, like have them create like a character, and then have them animate it, and then have
Mm.
them just explain like why it's flipping or animation or sound, whatever. Like, it has to have something with computer science.
Yeah.
But if I can do something like this in my computer science class, I will definitely I will definitely let you know,
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
because I think the kids would love this. I really, like slides is it's not used the way it's potentially can be used.
Hmm.
It's so underrated. People just use it for presentations. They don't use it and thinking out of the box.
Right.
This is definitely thinking out of the box, and a great way to give the students animation. Just use slides, duplicate, then they learn keyboard shortcuts, they learn rotation, they learn angles. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
It's definitely beneficial.
And isn't it funny? That's the way it happens with all the Google tools. When you hear a teacher say, or maybe it's not a teacher, maybe it's a student, whoever it might be, say, I don't like Google Slides as much as I like PowerPoint, or I don't like Google Docs as much as I like Word documents, or I don't like Google Drawings as much as I like
Paint.
Photoshop, or whatever they might be using. It's because of the way they're using it. If you're using Google Slides to be a presentation tool, no, it's not as good as PowerPoint. It's not as good as Keynote. But if you're using it to enable some collaboration, or to work on things in the cloud, or do some of this really creative stuff, well, then it actually is a pretty fantastic tool. And that's what
Yeah.
people like you and me are trying. That's our soapbox, right?
That's what we're trying to get out there, right?
Right.
Plus, even in Google Slides now, they have the add-on feature. So there's a few add-ons available now. I know Pear Deck is available in Google Slides, which is a great response. You can get the students interacting with you through your presentation and control their devices through your presentation.
Yeah.
It's come a long way. I think that if you use it just for presentations, you're really missing out. If you use it with creativity and with a twist, I think that most teachers would appreciate it and use it for what it's made for. Collaboration, creativity.
Yeah.
And even like you said, with the formatting options, with the transparency and the drop shadow
Mm-hmm.
features, they're new also.
Right.
Word art is in there. I mean, there's a lot in there that is not being utilized, and it's a shame, because it's just that I think people need the idea, and this is the idea. This is a great idea. I love that you were able to showcase this today, because I really think some people may take advantage of it. And I
I hope
really
so.
think that once they see it in motion, and I'm glad that you demoed it and we talked about narration and uploading it to Flipgrid, it may spark some educators to try it.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see what they create too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if anybody out there does try to create anything with Google Slides and animations using Jake's stop motion slides, please email him. His email, can I say it?
Yeah, go for it.
JakeMillerTech@gmail.com. You can also CC me at matinakim@gmail.com, and just let us know. We would love to hear it. I'm honestly, Jake, I'm going to try it.
Yay!
Just have to fix. I have to figure out, and that's why I'm home this week. So I'm going to try to figure out how I can use this in my computer science class and make it relative to what I'm teaching and see what the kids come up with, because I'm always looking for new ways for the students in my class. I'm always changing it up with every new group. So this would be another option for me. I just have to figure out what concept I can use with this and then put it out there, and I'll definitely let you know, because I think it offers a lot of knowledge for the kids.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And let me screen share my screen so that people see your website. So hold on.
So while you we jump over to the website, so it's jakemiller.net as Kim is jumping to here, and I've got there's a link to all those GIFs we were talking about on there. There is that stop motion animation site there as well. I think it's down at the bottom. It's just a link to the regular page too,
Yeah, there's it.
whatever you want to jump to, and then
Oh, here, jakemiller.net. Here we go.
and then one thing I'm hoping to do for this summer that I haven't gotten off the ground yet, but I'm hoping to do an online kind of PD on using Camtasia for GIFs. So if that's a particular interest of anybody, look out for that on my site, or there's a sign up for my newsletter there along the side as well.
Okay, great. Here's Jake's website, and his information will be in the public show notes. I will have everything there for you guys to access his info. If you want to Google the Sweet Talk, if you just Google the Sweet Talk, the search results will come up. You just click on the Sweet Talk Google Sites, and if you go over to episodes, and you scroll down here, here's a list of all of the shows that I've done, and I will have the YouTube link here and the show notes here for our show today, and that you can access all the information that Jake shared with us. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can also click on the guest tab and fill out this form, because I'm always trying to learn from others and help other people learn best ways to integrate technology in the classroom. So if you have something that you'd like to share, please fill out my form and we can learn together and, try to make it collaborative so that we can help each other out.
Well, that's great, Kim. Thank you so much for letting me be involved in this. You're doing a great thing here by sharing this out with people and letting people learn together.
Thank you, Jake. I really appreciate your feedback. I'm trying to get the word out there. So, just keep in mind, I'll be tagging you in all of the tweets for the Sweet Talk.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
So, if you want to, follow up again with the stop motion slides, please let us know. And we'll be happy to get back to you. Well, thank you for joining us today. And until next time, have a great evening. Bye.